Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have breakup stories, real breakup stories from people who have sent their story into writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com. That's my website. You can send your breakup story in, and I possibly could unpack it in a YouTube video just like this. This is a live stream, so you'll get some feedback from people in the live stream, comments down below. Please, if you'd like to help these individuals out. Also, if you like the video, throw me a like. If you don't like it, that's just fine. Say you don't like it. It would be better to have an opinion than not have an opinion. And if you'd like to book a live coaching session, which I've been much busier this month, probably because a lot of people are staying in and having more relationship issues, go ahead and book that at writemac.com. Also, the link is down below, but I could put it right here. And book a live coaching session today on FaceTime or Skype. We could unpack that. Just had a 2-hour plus live coaching session. Went quite well, actually. Obviously, it's not the best of times for those that are broken up, but let's get some clarity. Let's unpack this thing. And that's what I really do is I help you go through the breakup, unpack it, get some clarity, navigate through it, hopefully give you a compass and a map to navigate through these paths coming ahead and get to the bottom of things. Henry Inspires, good morning from Nigeria. Good morning to you too. T-Mac, it's always a pleasure. I hope you're well. So today, like I said, I'm going to do story time here, and we have a few stories. They have been backed up. And so I got 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty lengthy ones. We'll make a note of that for those people out there. Let's get into it. First story. Hi, I recently saw your channel. Move the microphone over here. We're going to get a little profile view. I recently saw your channel, and I'd like to share my story with you. I'm 7 months pregnant with my ex-boyfriend, left me a week ago. Sorry to hear that. That's actually a tough situation. There's a lot of people that send their story in and they go, oh, I bet you've never heard anything like this before. This is the worst breakup ever. There's definitely some people that have it worse. Zuki, how you doing? I hope you're well, buddy. I'm 7 months pregnant and my ex-boyfriend left a week ago. His reason is because I don't cook or clean. That sounds pretty shallow considering you're 7 months pregnant. But I'll continue on and see if we can get to the bottom of this. Well, I clean and I fix the bed, sweeper, the floors, and then wash the dishes. I cooked him food, and he would just share it with disgust. So I gave up on cooking for him because he didn't like the food. Okay. What's up, Jen? Story time today. He bought groceries, but they were in the fridge since March and wanted us to eat expired food. I'm 7 months pregnant and cannot risk the health of my baby with expired food. Okay, that seems like a smart move on your part. The only food that was left was rice and beans and eggs. I would make him breakfast and he would not eat most of it. Well, that's a choice. Don't take it personal if that's all the food you have. He also said he left me because I'm too needy and didn't give him any time to himself. He felt controlled because he didn't want me calling him to get home. I think in the case that you're 7 months pregnant, the individual that's with you should be a little bit more reasonable in these kinds of times. He would leave at 10 p.m. and not come home till the next day at 6 a.m. or 10 a.m. So regardless if you're 7 months pregnant or not, this is a pretty big no-no in a monogamous long-term relationship. Someone leaving at 10 p.m. and not coming home till the next day at 6 a.m. is a problem. He'd get a ride home from the girl he cheated on me, which is his sister's best friend. I always made him block her on Facebook, but always end up calling her for rides home and to get him drinks. Okay, so the question is, why are you putting up with this? He said it was my fault. He contacted her because she has a car, and I could have bought a car with my income tax, but I bought all the baby stuff, so he just focused on paying rent and other bills. Again, you have a choice here. Ask yourself where your power is, and do you want to put up with this? I understand you have a baby on the way, and that's going to be tough, and that's going to be financially constricting, but I don't think it would be better to continue on in a relationship like this that is this toxic and this bad just for the sake of the fact that you're pregnant. Because Bringing up a child in a household where an individual acts this way and doesn't seem to have a lot of love for you right now is not the way to correctly parent, I would believe. We got into a huge fight. Because sometimes I would leave the apartment to go to my mom's, but I left so I would get something to eat or to just not be lonely because he wouldn't get home till almost 9. His mother also interfered in our relationship, telling him and I that I didn't know how to take care of my man and I didn't know how to appreciate him because I never cooked a meal for him. Wow. So you're 7 months pregnant and one of your biggest problems is cooking. He's complained about your cooking and his mom's complained about your cooking. I find this ridiculous. If you're going to have a relationship, long term, if you guys are going to be parents together, if you guys are going to coexist, the idea that someone is actually going to make a big deal out of cooking, then I would tell him to actually cook for himself, if that's the case. Weeks before, also, he broke my phone. And ask yourself this: do you believe yourself to be a bad cook? Is this a reasonable argument, or is this just something that they're throwing darts at you? And keep in mind, if the mom's acting like this now, she's probably not going away. When you are in a relationship, parents, friends, and family can be a part of the relationship if the partner allows them to be part of it. Weeks before, he broke my phone that I had just bought because he said I was cheating on him and then he was going to break my phone. Wow, this sounds ridiculous. He broke into pieces and I bought another phone with a stimulus check. When we got into that argument, he threw a cup at me and gave me a swollen eye, and it was swollen and all purple. Now this right here is non-negotiable. So if the fact that you're pregnant just makes it worse, but throwing a cup at you, breaking your phone, these are things that at a certain level, you might even need to contact the police if this individual gets physical with you. But this is just completely non-acceptable. There's no excuse for this kind of behavior. I tried telling his mom. Telling his mom is probably not going to work. And she said that I provoked him and that she didn't teach her son to hit a woman, even though he did multiple times. Okay, this is when you need to get the police involved and file a report. If you've been abused in any sort of way, especially being that you're pregnant, even if you weren't pregnant, your power is to file a police report immediately. She said her son wasn't perfect, but she would ride or die for him because that's her son. And a lot of people are like that. They choose what they want to believe, and if it's their kin, their family, they're going to pick them over you. And so going to them is false hope. The whole situation is overwhelming. I want to get over him, but I can't, even though he's a horrible person. Well, you're probably, if he's the parent of your future child, you're probably not going to, quote unquote, get over him. But you do need to take the proper steps to protect yourself if you're getting hit or hurt. Secondly, you're obviously not going to be in a long-term relationship with someone like this. Put your pregnancy and the health of your baby first and foremost, and whatever falls behind that. And I would say this individual right here has already proven that he is not capable of being a good partner, let alone a responsible father. He still gave me some type of affection at times. I'm really hurting because I feel selfish and dumb for getting pregnant. It's done. So now you got to deal with it. Take responsibility. There's no reason to feel selfish or dumb at this point. There's a lot of humans out there that have done the same thing as you. It's time to become responsible and accountable for your actions. And that's why my whole family says to me and brings me down to be here lonely dealing with this hurt. I try putting a smile on my face, but I cannot. Well, do you have family or friends that are supportive at all? If there is one or two, then you need to lean on them because it's important for you right now. This individual that you got pregnant by is not a long-term partner. And I actually asked this individual how old they were. They're 22 years old. And it's a toxic relationship already. It's not an ideal situation, but guess what? You got to deal with it. And the best way to deal with it is to put the pregnancy and the baby first and be a parent first. Read some books on raising kids and do not accept the treatment that the father has been giving you recently at all. It's completely non-acceptable. And if you needed to do a live coaching session, I would highly recommend that if you're in a situation like this. And don't get down on yourself that you are selfish and dumb for getting pregnant. There's many people that have done it before you that'll do it after you. And like I said, it's part of human nature. Get on deck to become a responsible adult and parent at this point. So I hope that helps you. That was the first story on deck in the first 10 minutes. Next story. Let me check into the live stream right now. Let's see what we got on deck here. Zuki, what's up, buddy? I like your story time. Thank you, Jen. I like you too. I emailed you today through your website. I'm interested in a one-on-one session, please. Anti-tube, I am available. You just have to book it through the website, and you do need to pay first. There are people that you are capable of booking a time before you pay, but you will not get the session without paying first. So I'm not sure if that was a problem. The website, sometimes people have difficulty navigating through it. If you'd like to email me, having trouble with that, or the PayPal system, it's just Coach Mac McCarthy at Gmail. Auntie Tube, interesting name. Why do you have the name Auntie Tube? She's in a tough spot, but I can say that if it's that bad now, it will only get worse. Yes, Jan, I agree with you. But she's got to take responsibility, right? I really think it's just an excuse about the cooking part. You're probably right, dude. It's pretty petty, right? Double D, what's going on? Everything is well over here, but I hope it's well with you. Mandel Durant, Coach. How you doing, Mandel? You can let other people get involved in your relationship, especially family and friends. They can. I influence once you do, that you have no control over it. I meant to say can't. Yeah, family and friends can be a help. They can be a hindrance. And what I always recommend to people is keep in mind who they are and what they do in their own life, because they're going to project that onto you. So they want you to feel what they feel. So if they've been cheated on or brokenhearted, they're probably going to have a negative outlook. If they've had a strong, successful relationship, they're probably going to encourage you to have the same. And so pick and choose who you get advice from based on their own body of work, if that makes sense. That being said, if you have a partner that you think is being manipulated by their parents, family, friends, colleagues, that's the responsibility of the partner to take that information and do what they want with it. You can chime in, but you're probably not going to be able to tell them, oh, I don't want you talking to your mom again or your friend again. That's definitely abuse. I'd leave that situation. That's mental and emotional abuse. I agree, Derek D. Zuki, what's up? Wow, that's young. Sounds like BD can't deal with taking it out on her too. I tried, Auntie, but don't know if I did it right. Okay, so I haven't received go ahead and send me an email like I just told you to if you're having trouble with the website. Or maybe I can help you with that, Auntie too. Basically, you got 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 2 hours as options, and then we can talk on FaceTime or Skype. What's up, Kevin? How you doing, buddy? But don't know if I did it right. Like I said, I think I put Coach Mac McCarthy is my email if you're really having trouble navigating the site. April Fuentes, how are you? Jen. Dang, I thought coming on here right now would be late for you all. That is my email up above, Coach Mac McCarthy at gmail.com. So if for some reason you can't navigate how to pay, then it's up above. How are you? Okay. Good morning. Okay. We got a little crew out here. I just had a 2.5 hour, 2 hour, 20-minute live coaching session. I thought, you know what? I've done enough talking, but actually I've missed 2 or 3 days of the live stream. I had to get back on deck. All right. Auntie Tube, go ahead and email me and we'll work through the idea of how we're going to get you some live coaching soon. The first step would be to write out your story. Late for me, 4 a.m. in the U.S. Double D's up at 4 a.m. That's got to be the craziest time. Simply just take the negative people out of your life, problem solve. Is it that easy? It's up to you to make it that easy, right? All right, you guys ready for the next story? We got 12 on deck, 7 likes. I appreciate you all. This one's a little bit interesting, a little longer. I've enjoyed listening to your videos and appreciate your honesty and down-to-earthness. Well, thank you. Down-to-earth is a compliment I will take. I think I've got myself in a bad stuck in the quarantine, let me talk to my ex situation. Oh, one of the old bad stuck in the quarantine, let me talk to my ex situations, huh? I wish I could type a novel to you, but I'll do my best keeping it at 600. LOL. Well, if you want to write more and you want more to unpack, then I suggest that you do a live coaching session on FaceTime or Skype. So if this take that I give you on your story right now isn't enough and you had more to share, the next step would be doing the coaching session. And if you do a live coaching session, I will refund you if you don't find it useful and helpful. And I actually do ask that question at the end of every coaching session. Was this useful and helpful? So we are at the 15-minute mark. Just like to make that mark for this individual. My ex and I met for the first time in February 2018 after chatting on Tinder. We immediately hit it off and hooked up. Sounds like a Tinder hookup. Good for you. He said he really liked me and wanted to be exclusive. I said, okay. He is 7 years older than me, has a son, and had moved to the East Coast to his sister's after a messy divorce where his wife ended up getting full custody of their son. He clearly had some baggage, but I was willing to accept it. Kind of, she writes. What I would ask is, what does kind of mean? The idea that you know about the ex-wife, you know about the messiness, you know about the son, is up front, so you should be knowing what you're getting into. But why would you say you kind of accept it? Because this is one of those things, when you start out a relationship with an individual, it is important to accept them for who they are and where they're at in life. Otherwise, it's going to become more and more of a problem. He told me he loved me 3 months into the relationship. I didn't say it back until maybe a month or two after. It was a wonderful time with him, and we talked about moving in together. Then about 7 or so months into our relationship, he broke things off with me. I had spent a week at the beach with my family and was trying to text him, and he kept blowing me off. When I returned from vacation, he said it was hard. It was a hard month for him as it was his son's birthday month. He said he had eventually moved back home, so he didn't want to string me along. So basically, he's saying that he's not going to live in the area that you started the relationship in. He's going to move far, far away eventually to be with his kid, which is actually admirable and noble. And if he's being honest, he may not have gone about it right as far as ignoring you or not answering your texts. But if that's his plan long-term, then probably the writing's on the wall and your relationship won't continue. So it's better to end now than later on. You probably don't want to hear that. It doesn't feel good, but it's real, right? I asked, why can't we just enjoy our time until he moves? Well, if you're okay with that, and he's saying, look, I'm telling you I'm going to move, just be careful what you wish for and understand that you told him it was okay to enjoy your time together and it's okay for him to move. We talked it over and he said I was a great girlfriend, that he didn't know why he broke up with me. So we were back together. This messed up the timeline of moving in together. So I ended up getting my own apartment, which he unofficially moved into. So what does it mean to unofficially move into with you? Does that mean he's paying rent? Does that mean he's sharing bills with you? Does that mean that you wanted to share this place with him? So what does it mean? Just like you said, kind of before, what do you mean by unofficially? Living together stirred up a few problems. He played a lot of video games and didn't really do all that much. Well, that sounds like that wouldn't be a good partner, let alone a good flatmate. I preferred going out on walks, exploring places, going out to eat. Again, people lose, but it wasn't his cup of tea. People lose track of, you can be attracted to each other, but not be compatible. You can be attracted to each other, but not have a good chemistry. And if you live together and you lack connection, chemistry, compatibility, it gets difficult really fucking quick because attraction wins the day while you're dating. And not just physical attraction, intimate attraction, and the attraction to being around an individual's energy. Now, when you live together and you're full-time, 24 hours, 24/7 around each other, connection, compatibility becomes more important. Because if you don't like doing the same things and he's hogging up the TV playing video games and you want to go out on a hike, it's going to turn off the attraction button really quick. I'd get upset. I'm also a super insecure, jealous, hot-tempered girlfriend. Okay, so you're identifying with being insecure, jealous, and hot-tempered. So if I was in a live coaching session, I would unpack those individual statements and ask you why you're like that, why you feel that way, and how it's serving you in any relationship. Because if that's how you feel you are, you will make it true. You weren't born that way. Secondly, you probably won't sustain a long-term relationship with a good man very long. Because a good guy, not even a good guy, because a good guy can mean a lot of different things. A man that has confidence, that has direction, that has purpose will not put up with a hot-tempered, insecure, or jealous woman. They won't. Who upset? I'm also who online stalks her boyfriend. Okay. Questioning his followers, who they are, what they've been at times. He would follow ex hookups or ex Tinder dates because he just pressed follow because they were suggested. Bottom line is, if you'd identify with being super insecure, jealous, and hot-tempered as a girlfriend, that's something you need to work on as an individual. You're saying this is who I am, and are you identifying it as a problem? Because I would consider it a problem. It's not something that someone that goes out with you just needs to deal with. I've had men before. Well, she should know I'm jealous. That's how I am. Well, how is that working out for you? Does that sustain good relationships? No. Can you change that? Yes. Can you identify why you're that way? Yes, I could help you with that. Fast forward after 6 or so months of living together, he got a really good job offer back home. I freaked out, and he said we could plan for me to move with him at some point. So he started making arrangements to move, and things were getting worse between us. I was unhappy. Well, you're probably unhappy. If you're already an insecure person, you're probably unhappy with the uncertainty, right? Even though he's saying he's going to do that, you still are uncertain about the future. And so this is what is making you insecure and quote unquote unhappy. So we just agreed to split. After an hour a week of him leaving, I asked if we could please try LDR. After a week of him leaving, there's a little fucking fly in here that's bothering the shit out of me. After about a week of him leaving, I asked him if we could please try LDR. He was hesitant, but we did. And then he dumped me 2 weeks later because he was stressed with his new job, finding an apartment. I was annoying him. I admit being too needy. Well, LDRs have a shelf life. They're not easy to do, and they are extremely limited when the other individual is needy or insecure. Because an LDR is something that requires a lot of trust and a lot of space. And they can work. They don't work often, but they can work if there's a finish line where you're going to move there or he's going to move back. But if it didn't work in 2 weeks, it probably never was going to work. After he dumped me, I noticed he was following a new girl. Then a month later, a new girl. Well, once he becomes a free agent and you become a free agent, it is not going to serve you in any shape or form to follow what he is doing, whether that's social media or anything else where you're connected. I cried for about 2 months straight until he came back. He admitted he hooked up with one of those girls he followed and just hung out with the other because she was attractive. Reasons why I hate social media. Okay, I don't know why you would hate social media because of the way he hooked up with a woman. And he said I was a great girlfriend. He didn't know why he broke up with me. He admitted there was stress and that also his father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Well, it sounds like the reason he broke up with you was he was moving. He had a new job. And if his father had stage 4 cancer, then that is not an excuse. That's a valid reason to take a break from a relationship that was troubled and long distance. So that's a valid reason. I've had other clients actually, have a family member that is quite sick with something that is terminal, and it will affect relationships. And I tell people, if you're dealing with someone in your family or your friend group that has a serious illness and you put them first, you probably, in all likelihood, wouldn't regret that down the road. And so I have no problem with someone putting a relationship on the shelf in place of someone that they're close to that's terminally ill and giving them full attention. I took him back and visited him twice, and we started to make plans again for me moving. After about 2 months of LDR during Christmas and New Year's, his father passed away. So he sent me a short text that said something along the lines of soul searching, needing to build a connection with his son, and it wouldn't be fair to me trying to stay together. I guess I deleted him from my phone and cried for weeks. Well, bottom line is from the get-go, I think you've been on two different wavelengths. I think he's been honest with you that at different times being a father has been important to him. Living in the city that he lives in now is important to him. And the fact that his father just passed probably elevated the fact that he needs to make more time for his son. Somehow, some way, he thinks that it's not doable to have you in his life and his son in his life. And again, LDRs are not ideal long-term relationships, and someone has to move to someone else's town. Okay. And so it doesn't sound like that's been talked about once. 2 months later, he reached out and wanted to be friends. I said, okay. And now we're stuck in quarantine and texting. He tried to suggest us trying again. Okay. Now you guys have this playbook where someone gets lonely and they call you back, you cry, you do this. I mean, what is this, are you both not capable of meeting someone else that lives in your city or have better circumstances? But I said it hurt me so much, he'd have to rebuild the trust and bond. He said he can't do that long distance. I would agree with him. Long distance is not a way to rebuild a relationship, but I just can't move either, even though I'd love to live in his state. Okay, so if I was in a live coaching session, I'd unpack this. Why can't you move? Why are you can't? Is it a can't or a won't? Could you get creative and actually create a situation where you could move to that state? If not now, maybe in the near future. And what's really difficult is we've even been, or I have been, fighting with him and we are not together. If you're fighting right now over text and you're not together, that's a huge red flag to not get back together. We had a week and a half or so of great connection and sending each other kissy emojis. He even sent me a generous amount of money for my 30th birthday. I was so confused, and I told him I didn't understand what we were doing. He said he didn't know either, but he loved me. It sounds like you both have strong feelings for each other. It sounds like it's an up and down, hot and cold relationship. But the elephant in the room is the fact that you live in different states, and that he is probably gun shy to a long-term commitment, being that he had a tough divorce. If you really wanted to test how good the relationship could be, one of you needs to move in each other's city or town and make that sacrifice. If you're not willing to do that, you're just chasing your tail. He stopped. I just don't see the love, though. He stopped engaging. Well, what's love mean to you in an LDR? Texting you emoji hearts? I mean, everyone has their own definition of love and how love's conveyed. It's very difficult to show full-on love when you're in a long-distance relationship texting. He stopped engaging as much and kind of backed off. And when I've tried to bring it up, he just doesn't really put in any effort to understand or solve the issue. His natural tendency that I'd always get upset about when we lived together. One evening last week, I was texting him how I was feeling, and he eventually stopped texting. I blew up and called him an asshole in my text. The next morning, he responded with, "Calm down. I passed out. Is that okay?" And he always just says, "I'm being too sensitive of or emotional," which I do agree sometimes, but I know I shouldn't make all my concerns invalid. Well, like going back to the statement that you're super insecure, jealous, and hot-tempered, I would say that you're probably sensitive and emotional at a higher level. That being said, do you want to work on that as an individual, or do you want to continuously fight about it? Do you agree with it or not agree with it? I've started to let him be and stopped initiating texts, and he has been initiating them. He says hello and asks how things are, but they don't go much deeper. I mean, what is the ideal situation for this, and how are you going to improve the situation currently where you can actually spend time together? Also, he plays a lot of video games and smokes weed daily, and I feel like it gets in the way of clear thinking. He did not smoke when we lived together except for the last couple of months, but I never loved it. Bottom line, if that's something he does in his free time, he has a choice to either continue doing that or not continue doing that. If it gets the way of his clear thinking, that's on him. He needs to decide if that's something he wants to stop doing or continue doing as an adult. And so your take on that, is probably going to fall on deaf ears, being that you are already a distant couple. What am I doing with my life, Coach Mac? This is hurting me. Well, first and foremost, take control of yourself as an individual. Where is my power in this situation? Number one, you can find a way to move to his city or town and see if you guys are really that compatible. Number two, the idea that you're insecure and you're jealous and these kinds of things, regardless of who you're with, if you get back with this man or another one, you need to clean that part of your character up, because it's not going to be attractive to a good man. This is hurting me. And so where's your power in taking the bull by the horns and making it not hurt you? I'd highly recommend that you consider doing a live coaching session with myself and getting a little deeper on this, and taking a step back from this relationship and actually looking at yourself as an individual and where you can improve and what you want to do, because some of your outlooks on things aren't good, specifically your identity statements of being insecure and jealous. So hope that helps you. Feel free to email me back if you have some questions. So let me get back to the live stream. That one was a lot to unpack there. Max, since we're in quarantine, we don't sleep until late night. Okay, April. It's funny you can't say auntie tube. Is it auntie, right? Or auntie? Everyone hit like. Thanks, Derek D. Derek, what's up? Late low here in SD. San Diego's finest. God, I miss PB. That was a fun. PB and Mission Beach were great. I know how you feel in April. I really want to go on a picnic or something. Sorry, I moved my mic back. He said, what? He wants to be exclusive, a bit needy, I'd say. I live on the East Coast, April. It's 1:07 a.m. That's a bit messy. Lack of strong boundaries there. Derek, I bought a ticket for Mexico City next year because I need me some time for myself. Okay, yikes. Moving in with someone is never good that early. Someone was just asking me, like when's a good time to move in early? When's this? The main thing is, if you're going to move in together, don't do it just for finances. Don't do it because you think it'll be convenient. Do it as a discovery mission to see. Moving in together is the next step. It's basically marriage in a lot of ways without the paperwork. And so if it doesn't work out, you'll know pretty quickly, but it's a totally different ballgame when you live together. Strong boundaries is the remark of high self-esteem. High self-esteem is the most attractive trait as it signifies high self-worth. Azam's already on a tear. Good for you. My company just changed their policy of remote work, looking into renting a studio in Buenos Aires for 3 to 6 months. T-Mac, I don't usually say this. Do it. As the great Bo Jackson started out the Nike campaign, just do it. That sounds, I think that would be fucking incredible, and I'd like to hear from you when you do that. How's Baltimore these days? I hear it's got some pretty rough parts. That sounds like fun. April, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I live in PA right now. LDR is a weak move. Lack of self-esteem again. Oh, that's amazing. What's MDPA? Those are the states' names, April. I can't speak from personal experience, Mac. I haven't been back home for 5 years. It seems to be getting worse, though. Glad I made it past the age of 25. Wow, that's a big statement, dude. I always think Baltimore. I think of The Wire. I think Carmelo Anthony's from there too, right? So he is manipulating her and doesn't see any value in her. She took him back easily, let him live with her after first breakup, low self-esteem. I'll never do an LDR again. It happens. It's a good lesson to work on your self-esteem. Yes, LDRs can work. There just needs to be a finish line. They're not recommended. They have a shelf life. They have a lot more complications. That being said, you can try, but they're not ideal. Is it something I want to do? No, but can I see why people give them a go? Yeah. Yes, I'm pretty far, April. I've lived in Cali before. Sacktown? Really, Derek D? My parents live up in Chico, Moreno Valley, Chino Hills. Man, you've been all over, bud. I see my value now. Even though my ex is physically beautiful, I brought a lot to the relationship. That's funny. I listen to a pastor from Chino Hills all the time. Congrats on your growth, T-Mac. Again, he takes her for granted, doesn't value her, always have excuses, blame her for everything. She deserves better. Respect is not demanded, it is enforced. She should dump him. That will improve the situation. How is the little one that you're okay? So these are personal questions. Mello is from Baltimore. Rob, what's up, buddy? Cool thing about making this plan is it's made me excited about something for the first time since my breakup, and it's a good shift. T-Mac, that's the goal, my friend. When you shift, it's a paradigm shift. And it happened to me when I decided to move to Thailand and live near a beach. And I all of a sudden thought to myself, I'll do it for a year. I don't know how it's going to work out, but damn it, it's good to be excited about something in the future that has nothing to do with your ex, has everything to do with you maybe growing, taking some chances, and being excited about something in the future that's new. So fucking do it, man. If it's not Buenos Aires, go somewhere else. I think that's outstanding. I think it's going to be part of the future. Also, it's going to be one of the silver linings from this pandemic is the fact that a lot of these companies had to figure out a way for people to work from home, and people are going to go, you know what? Now that things are good again, I'd still like to work from home or work abroad. I think it's outstanding. You lived in SD, really cool. Hello, my baby is fine, enjoying life. Da, da, da. I don't know if you asked me or Derek that, but yes, I did live in San Diego. Derek D, tell us about you for your new followers. Talking to me, Auntie too. I talk about. I've been doing this live stream for a long time, so a lot of these people know. What I like is when you can realize and feel that shift, when you can feel like the old shed off like a snakeskin. Yes, Derek. And a big part of it is finding some kind of compelling future. And if that's living abroad and working abroad, that's great. That's outstanding. I think that is fantastic. All right, next story. Let me timestamp this. Are you ready? What's up, Sarab Namdi? Okay, story. Hi, Mac. I emailed you a couple of weeks ago. I'm the man who was married 20 years and had a wife living in a flat in the same town. Thanks for reading my story and your advice. Guess what? She contacted me and wanted to meet. I didn't respond at first. I wanted to make sure meeting up was in my best interest. She came around last night and we had a great night. I did not mention the breakup once, although she did keep mentioning this young girl she thinks I'm seeing, who is just a friend. In fact, she had found out as much as she could about her, which was a bit creepy. She kept saying, I need to be careful as she's 20 years younger than me, that she's 26. I was not all that needy. We ended up having a fair few drinks. She made chat about seeing our 2 children and the dog and wanting the curtains for her new flat. She also said her flat rent runs out in 4 months and she wants to move back in with me, which I said was not a good idea. The strangest thing was we were laughing and joking, and Post said we needed the toilet. So we raced to the toilet. I beat her to the toilet, and she stood there and watched me urinate. When I was washing my hands, she lifted her dress and went to the toilet in front of me. The meetup was in our house. That's an interesting part of a story. LOL. Later on in the evening, she got emotional and said she had lost everything and alone in a flat with not seeing the kids much and had started vaping because of the stress. I replied that I was in a good place and I was fine. Bottom line is she took off. I don't know if you guys remember this story, but she took off. They have 2 kids. She moved into a flat, and this is one of those things where the grass was not greener. She also said she had not seen anyone and not messaged men, and even gave me her phone to check, but I stood firm and said, it's none of my business. Well, good for you. That's good for you. She was a bit drunk, but my phone bleeped, and she grabbed it and read a text from this girl who is a friend, but she thinks I'm going out with. Well, this is kind of a red flag that – did I get him? Yes. But she did not seem happy. She seems as though she wanted to reach out to me, but believes she thinks I'm in a rebound relationship with this girl, which I am not. Well, bottom line is, okay, if you get accused of something, especially from an ex, and you're telling them the truth, you just stop and you go, hey, it's up to you if you don't want to believe me or not. I just told you the truth. I'm not going to continue to talk about this. That's it. Just nip it in the ass. She seems as though she wanted to reach out to me, but I believe she thinks I'm in a rebound relationship. It's up to you what you want to believe. I think this may ruin our chances, as she probably thinks we are having intimacy and would no way have me back, which is frustrating for me as I'm being honest and have not the problem. If you're being honest, it's not your job to continue to pander to an individual. Oh, no, I'm telling you the truth. And at some point you go, you know what? If you don't believe me, it's fine. Okay. The bottom line is she left you and you have 2 kids. You need to decide, do you even want to take back a frantic individual like this? And I'll add something to it. It sounds like one of the reasons she wants to come back is she ran out of money. And so you got to ask yourself, what kind of an individual is this? Not the problem. The other girl is 26, a model and very attractive. Well, good. I still love my wife and really don't know what to do now. Continue dating your wife and going out with her, and don't just move back in together. If she's got 4 months left on her lease, let her stay in the flat for 4 more months. You guys need to feel each other out. You're not just going to slide back into the relationship. You need to decide if you want to take her back. I did no contact for 2 months. Last night, she texted saying, thank you for the evening. I replied, you're welcome, babe, but I have not contacted her today at all. Okay, that's fine. In your particular case, keep seeing each other, keep building anticipation. And I would even add that you know, if you're dating this 26-year-old model, where are you at with that situation? If you want to go further on this, because this is your second time writing me, I would highly recommend a live coaching session. Okay, so let's get to the live stream. Hi, Mac. Feeling good to hear you again. Feeling better myself. I'm able to resist the thought. I don't want my ex. Should I think my ex as a good person or a bad person or move on better? It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. You're going to think of him as a good person sometimes and a bad person sometimes, depending on your situation. Whenever you get thoughts or feelings in your head, don't try to combat them with negativity. Don't try to say, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that. If you think of her as a bad person, reason with that and neutralize that thought rather than push it away. The minute you push something away, your brain starts to obsess over it. What you resist persists. And so if you have a moment where you think she's a good person and a moment where you think she's a bad person, it's just a moment. Neutralize that thought where you can deal with it in some way so that you're not stuck on it. We all have, you know, when you spend enough time with even your family members, there's times when you think like you're someone in your family is not a good person. That's fine. I rode my bicycle past the pub, was open. Nice to see people enjoying themselves. Okay. Caitlin, how are you? I hope you're well. I believe you recently had a baby. I hope the baby's doing well. Why is it the moment we start moving on from our ex, they try to come back and rekindle things? You know, people say this to me a lot. I've seen it in other YouTube videos where they're like, the minute you give up on your ex or the minute you stop talking to your ex is when they come back. It's not always true. It's not always true. There's no special sauce to that. Does it happen? Yes. Does it happen often? Yes. Does it happen all the time? No. Sometimes people go, oh, but there is something to the fact of letting go of something, moving forward, and the other person feeling, holy shit, wait a minute. This person is not even giving me any energy, time, or space. I might never talk to them again. And that usually flips the tables and puts the pressure on them. Because if you were chasing and you were hoping, wishing, and contacting them quite a bit, and you go a month, 2 months, 3 months, they start to think, wait a minute, will they ever talk to me again? That being said, it doesn't always happen that way. Exes will accuse quite frequently. If an ex contacts me back and they want to hang out with me and they want to revisit things and they immediately go into accusations of who I've been with and what I've been doing, that's extremely fishy. It's red flag. And I would proceed with caution. And I definitely would not be, oh, I never did anything. I didn't do this. You know what I'd say? I'd say, you know what? I've been a free agent for the last 2 or 3 months. That was your choice. And I've been doing fine. And right now, let's just be in the present moment. Some coaches swear there's a coyote. Okay. There's something to you know, I've read some books on this and the entanglement of the subconscious. Don't tell her you are or are not sleeping. Leave it to her imagination. Azam's correct. One of the greatest lines a friend of mine used to say, a gentleman never tells. She left you with the 2 kids. I'd say never take her back. Go with the model, dude. Azam. Clean advice. Laugh out loud. They always come back to their provider when the cash runs out. Well, in this case, sounds like she's making him in a contingency plan. Monkey branding simply didn't work for her. Women are notorious for a plan B. The tree broke down. Don't be there to save her. Don't let him swing back. I mean, this isn't, for the people in the live stream, if you're married with 2 kids, he was married 20 years. It's not easy just to go, oh, yeah, she was monkey branching. I've never been married for that long, but I think it would be fucking difficult. That being said, the individual that wrote this story, you do need to keep in mind your own worth and value here. And you, at the very least, it shouldn't be a clean path back home for her, if that makes sense. I don't want you to go out of your way to hurt her, but you definitely don't want to be throwing out the red carpet like, oh, you've been away for 2 months. Even though you hurt me and you moved out and everything, you can just come back right when you want to. No. Hi from Paris, Mac. Paris. Been following you for quite a while and appreciate your insights and honesty. I'll book a live session if you're available next week. Go for it, dude. WriteMac.com. Send it in. Sometimes people think that too. Oh, yeah, you probably are too busy. No, I'm not. You can find times on my calendar. Book it. Dag Hey Muunga. What kind of name is that? It almost sounds Polynesian. Like a spiritual bond between 2 former lovers and your ex senses when you become indifferent. They lose the power they had when you were needy, and wanting them back is bad. Don't know if there's any veracity to it, but I'm open. I'm also open to that. I believe in entanglement of the minds. Oh, okay, I got you. Thanks for the advice. I agree with you. Because an ex, it always feels good though when an ex comes back, right? Because an ex that feels they still doesn't need to be with you, they already have you. A lot of coaches say that a dumper has the feeling that they can get you back anytime, so you are the plan B. That's why when a dumper reach out, reject them. Yeah, I think especially there's so many cases where people that get dumped chase, and they chase for a long time. And so when someone goes, oh my God, I've been doing everything wrong. I get this a lot. Oh, I was chasing for 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm like, it's okay. Just stop now, because the individual will still be shocked by the idea. Wow, you stop. I don't suggest you chase or you beg or you plead, but if you've done it and you're being hard on yourself, stop now. And it will create a situation for the individual to go, wow, did they really stop doing that? Because deep down inside, most people, most humans, even if they're going to break up with someone, they like to be wanted. They like the attention, and they like the life raft option. Well, if things don't work out, I can always get them back. Yes, I did. He's great. 2 months old now. Thanks for asking. His name is Axton. Interesting. Axton. I've never heard that name. I'm thinking of Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop. So do you call him Axe? Good for you, Kaylin. I'm happy. 2 months. That went by quick. I remember when you first sent me your story. Well, I'm happy that he's healthy, and hopefully you're putting your time and effort specifically into being a good parent. I think you were the one that your mom actually came on the live stream before and said she had a child early. And I've told you before, my sister had her baby at 18 or 19. So I'm familiar with having an early, being a part of that in the family. And, like I said, be a parent first and foremost, and you'll have no regrets, hon. Derek, how's your babies? Is it true that men have to do all the chasing, or do women have to contribute a little? Obvious. Oh, Azam's going to like this. Is it true that men have to do all the chasing, or do women have to contribute a little? Like, obviously, I'm not going to make a guy do all the work, but when girls give mixed signals, does that confuse a guy? Depends on the guy. Here's the thing. When you go to these YouTube channels, websites, and I have a YouTube channel, there's no certain advice like 2 + 2 is 4, where it's always going to work out the same. I I believe that women find it more attractive to chase a man. Some women in the live stream have disagreed with that. I agree. Women like to be challenged, I believe, and they like to feel surprised in some ways. And so if a guy's chasing, I think women find it needy and unattractive in the male energy. Have you ever had a guy, Caitlin, that really, really liked you and pursued you, and he was a quote unquote good guy or an attractive, physically attractive guy, but you didn't know why you didn't like him? It's probably because it was too much too soon, 0 to 100. 9 months, no contact and going strong. Good for you, T-Mac. Best reaction. And now you're planning to live in Buenos Aires. That would be a fantastic pivot. Best reaction, except pretend you didn't lose much in your life. Focus on yourself, and they reach out the ball on your field. Decide what you do. To not chase after you, or is he simply not interested? What's your definition of chasing? Like, can you get more specific on this, Caitlin? To not chase after you, can you elaborate on what you mean by this comment? I'm a little confused. Best revenge is to live well. I'm thinking working remotely from Argentina is going to be a pretty damn good life. I'll tell you what, even if it's not a good life, you'll have a fucking few stories to tell. And then from there, go to another country or city. But I think that's fucking cool. And as I've talked about before, and knowing a lot of world travelers, being where I've lived and knowing some people throughout the world through the live streams, world travelers always tell me Buenos Aires, Argentina's up there, New Zealand's up there, Japan's up there. These places are repeatedly told to me to be some of the coolest places to live. So when I was in Colombia, I could buy a round of beers for my table of 4 for $5 Canadian. Going to be fun if I get approved. Well, I'll cross my fingers for you, bud. I think it's something to get excited about. And if you don't get approved, try again or try for a different location. You got some momentum going. I'm happy for you. There's no mixed signals. Always listen to the action. Women love to be chased, but will fall for a man that they chase. I think his arm's right. Like, go back to that, Caitlin. Like I said, has there been a time where there's been a guy that liked you or showing a lot of interest, and he's good looking or he has a lot of things going for him, and you can't tell, like, oh, why am I not that interested in him? Because it's too easy, right? Whereas men will take advantage of that situation. They're fine, April. Okay, talking about the cats. I know, right, feels like forever ago. Yeah, my mom did come on and talk. No regrets at all. I love being a mom. Good for you. No regrets. I love being a mom. That's great, huh? That's great. Because I remember, I think the story you sent was while you were still pregnant and you were going through a lot of things. I don't remember the specifics, but God, to come away with no regrets and I love being a mom, that gives me a tingle down the spine, hun. I'm really happy for you. I once commented that all dumpies on these chats should get together. Why not? All right, let's go into a final story here. I haven't read this one yet, I don't think. Yep, I got one more. Get the timestamp here. Okay, hello. I just wanted to ask for some advice. My ex and I broke up 4 days ago. We've been dating for a year and 2 months. Our relationship was great, and we showed so much love and attachment, and we were so committed. I don't know if attachment's good. And we were so committed, and we talked about marriage and kids and living together. We went on our very first vacation together a few months ago. She had insecurities throughout the relationship and would randomly think I would check out girls when I never did. And I tell her the truth. And ever since this pandemic, it's been hard for us. So bottom line is she's insecure. She's jealous. You've been together for a year and 2 months. This is probably not going away. The question is, do you feel guilty about checking out these women? Do you think you crossed the line? Because if you didn't, what are you saying sorry for? Okay. There's a certain level of being able to look at the menu but not order. And if that's permitted in a relationship or not, because this is going to be an expectation that she's going to hold over your head throughout the relationship. Oh my God, you were checking someone else out? Yeah, I'm human. She was pretty. Okay. So you need to make a choice if you want to accept that kind of relationship or not. Me personally, dealing with someone that's jealous is a constant uphill battle. And you're going to constantly be answering the same questions. We haven't seen each other in 2 months, and our communication was going well up until the past few weeks. Her insecurities and anxiety started to get worse, and she would stalk my social media, check my following count, and would ask why was I following this girl. And I told her I've been following her since before we dated. And the day we broke up, I told her I can't take it anymore. And she said, okay, we should separate. Maybe it's best for our happiness. So bottom line is, if you don't think you did anything wrong, stop pandering or appeasing her insecurities. Secondly, if you really wanted to stop the problem, then you would unlike this friend or unfollow this friend and just stop social media altogether. Social media creates a lot of problems. But if you feel like it's unjust what's being asked of you, you need to stand up for yourself. And she calls me and says that the relationship is causing my anxiety and the pandemic is making me like, here's the thing. The relationship is causing my anxiety, as if you have no control over your emotions. That's bullshit. You need to exercise. You need to get meditation. People that blame outside events, external events on their feelings are not mindful and are extremely difficult individuals to be with, because they slide into victimhood quite a bit. And the pandemic is making me like this. So the pandemic is making me like this. So you have no choice on how you feel about things. This is what people forget. You have free will on how you interpret something and how you treat an individual situation, right? And everyone in the world is dealing with this pandemic, and not everyone in the world is saying to their partner, lost my space here, that, it's causing me anxiety and it's going to make us break up. So as an individual, you made that choice of being powerless. And like Derek D just says, it's a cop-out. Don't fucking accept that. I don't like when people use external items as if you have problems with anxiety or you have problems with the pandemic, it's not a reason for you to, get out of jail free card. If you have problems with anxiety, meditate, exercise, get good sleep. These are all things that help you out with it. Talk to a therapist, talk to a breakup coach like myself. If you have problems with the pandemic making me like this, and she wouldn't mind being friends and getting back together later on, well, that sounds very convenient for her and selfish. And after that, she blocked me everywhere. We broke up on good terms and mutually, but she initiated first. Ever since then, I miss her, and it's hard because she blocked me everywhere, and I didn't do anything to her. I wasn't needy or clingy, or I didn't say anything mean to her. What do you think I should do? Thank you very much for your help. I think you should move on, because this individual is extremely toxic. It's making excuses. Everything's about them. And it's time for you to get your balls back and your gusto back and actually ask yourself, am I capable of meeting a better match, or someone that actually doesn't have a problem with my harmless social media jaunts? Because at the end of the day, the social media is a problem in relationships. And you just got to ask yourself, with your own morals and value compass, am I doing something wrong? Am I really sorry for this? Okay, let me get to the stories are over. So if you guys want to shift into any questions about your relationships, go for it. I think it's okay to window shop, just don't buy the goods. I agree with Derek D. If you're with an individual that doesn't agree with that, then it's not going to work. Look at the menu, but don't make any orders. I think it's human nature as a male or a female to be highly attracted to another person and look at them. I can't wait till this virus stuff lifted and I can travel. That's an understatement for most, Derek D. I'm not interested in dating, which paradoxically has made me bolder with women. Shot a smile at an attractive woman riding by her today, and she smiled back. The power of not giving a shit. There's a lot of power in not giving a shit. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is a book all about that mindset. It's a cop-out for sure. I know you're talking in regards to the story, right? So I guess the right question or abbreviation is making an ex rechase you, if that makes any sense. I made the mistake of having a sexual relationship a month after our baby was here. Whenever someone says they're going to make someone do something, that's always is making an ex rechase you. How are you going to make them do something like that? That sounds controlling a little bit. Keep in mind in your situation, Caitlin, what's your ideal outcome? What do you really want as an individual? Do you want him to come back to be a parent? Do you want him to live with you again? What are the things you really want? And then if you think that's possible, move forward. If you don't think it's possible, you don't even believe it's possible, then move on the other direction. My coworker is Mexican and told me about a small town he loves that was an option. Can't remember which town. Argentina has the ski hills, so I could fly west and snowboard for a week. Outstanding. Oh, Johnny, what's up, buddy? Since I'd been heading down there when they go in the winter. Sounded like the chick was looking for an excuse to leave. Or get attention. Oh, I have anxiety because of this. Oh, the pandemic has really put me down. Oh, I lost my job. Oh, I lost this. It's like when it rains, it pours, and human beings go through shit. Without the sour, you cannot taste the sweet, as the great Vanilla Sky movie says. And I'll tell you this, interpretation's everything. We're all dealing with coronavirus in different ways, in different cities, in different states, in different countries. The bottom line is, though, it's not going away. You need to improvise. You need to deal with it. And you need to get on deck with living with the situation. Blaming your actions in a relationship because of the pandemic is a bit of a reach in my book. Probably in hindsight, I think that's what happened with my ex. I have a feeling she self-destructs relationships after the honeymoon is over. Interesting situation. Well, I told her we need space because she brought it up, and I called her bluff and started going crazy with tears and all this stuff. Well, Johnny, it was going to happen at some point, right? If it didn't happen now, it was going to happen later, and you're going to have to deal with it now. If you didn't deal with it now, it's going to happen later on. I'll tell you this, it is extremely difficult when a woman cries, though. I understand. It's funny, it happened right after we chatted. She called me in to chat saying she was going to NY, saying we're not working out. And at a certain point, like I said, it's not easy, but you stop going like, I'm not going to stop you. You actually go, actually, I think it's a good idea also. You're supporting her decision. And, Johnny, if she's crying and she's having a lot of trouble right now, maybe just go for a walk around the block or something like that and just get some air yourself. To be in the same room around that is very difficult. Because you're going to feel a little bit powerless. And so even though right now you're going to still be living together, you still need to, like I said, get some time and space. And the tears and the crying can sometimes give you a knee-jerk reaction to do something you feel like you don't really want to do out of pity. And stopping the crying. But the reality is, I think we just had a long live coaching session. I think you're doing the right thing. And I think you know that. And so if the emotions get high in there, like I said, go for a walk, get some air, bud. I know that sounds extremely simple, but it is simple. It's not going to cure the situation, but it helps. It helps. People always have excuses. Yeah. My ideal outcome is for us to be a family together, but he confuses me. He tells me he loves me during sex, but I don't hear that he loves me any other time. Is true. Guys get over their head. Well, there's a possibility that he's saying it in the moment. Love can be fleeting. If you feel like your definition and his definition of love are completely different, then you know him better than I do, and you need to be honest with yourself. You guys have a kid together. At what level does he want to make that a responsibility for himself too, and work on the relationship? If he doesn't, and you feel like he's taking advantage of using the word love to get intimacy, and this has happened repeatedly, then you need to turn the spigot off. Where's your power? Laugh out loud, the crying. We talked about that in our chat, Coach Mac McCarthy, like kryptonite. It is difficult. I've dealt with it before. I've broken up before. And when a woman's crying, it hurts. It's not easy. Some people are self-destructive because they don't believe they deserve happiness or anything good for that matter. That's very true. I come across that sometimes, Derek, when I'm talking to someone that's in a relationship and quote unquote has done a lot of good things and right things, and they can't understand why someone keeps calling them out, or because some individuals that have never been in a healthy relationship are drawn to drama or create drama because it's natural to them. Yeah, that did sound like kind of controlling, I guess. I've used some tactics myself because obviously when you ignore someone, it makes them want you more, but does it always work? Like you said, it doesn't always work. And you might not be, you might not be a compatible couple, right? Even though you've had a kid together, trying to make it work, but it doesn't work and you guys don't get along might not be the best thing for your child long term. It's best that a kid has two parents, but if the parents fight all the time and don't get along, I don't know if that's better than having single parents that see them on separate times. That's a decision you'd have to make, but think about it. My ex said she'd become a nihilist and had a harrowing darkness, and no man would want her, and that she said was dead inside, hated herself, hated life. That's dark, man. We talked it out and told her I need to reflect. She went ape shit crazy, saying she needs me and all this stuff. Well, the truth just came out that she needs you more than she is. It's a bad situation to feel like you need someone rather than you want someone. It's a bad situation to say you need someone rather than you love and care about them and want to help each other grow. That tells me that she's in a pretty tough place as an individual. That being said, you have a decision to make. You could say, look, we can still stay in contact, but we need some time apart for both of us. Because if you're just not getting along and you're hinting to each other what you want and no one's making progress, then what else is there an answer to? There's a clinical term for that. It's a shame. She has some great qualities and it's beautiful, but she's on a path of self-destruction. Nothing will keep your dignity like not caring and indifference. Don't act emotional. Consider yourself didn't lose much in life and move on. You will feel fried if you do so. Rob, I'm not familiar with the term secondary gain. So go ahead and elaborate. I'm always open to your knowledge. But yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Ignoring is the strongest move. I highly recommend using it against any disrespectful behavior. I mean, they teach you that as a little kid. Sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but names will never hurt me. Being ignored is a powerful thing. It's a power you can use against someone. Yeah. She's extremely addicted to weed, alcohol, junk food, sex. Those are all pleasurable items too, right? No doubt. But she always criticized me for talking about my family past and trauma and using it as a crutch. She is in denial about her issues. She thinks she can just ignore them. Well, that's on her. She's a free agent now. She can do what she wants. Yeah, the dopamine. Secondary gain. Okay, go ahead, Rob, shoot. Some of these terms are different theories and stuff I'm not familiar with, but I'm open to them. A term psychologists use to describe the payoff people get from clinging to a false belief that reinforces a particular pattern of behavior or negative thought process. Wow, those are a lot of big words. I wish we could simplify the message. Used to describe the payoff people get from clinging to a false belief to reinforce a particular pattern of behavior. Bottom line is, Rob, people believe what they want to believe, and then they filter to support that argument, whether the argument is true or not true. Thought I'd drop in. Still need to email you, Mac. Definitely missed the convos. Todd, anytime, buddy. Coach Mac McCarthy at Gmail. If you don't want to go through the oh yeah, you had that situation where your child's mom passed away recently, correct? Let's do a coaching session, dude, if you want to talk about it. I can help you. I'm at an all-time best with the coaching sessions right now. I really hit my stride as a coach. You start doing something, whether it's computer programming, whether it's playing baseball, whether it's being a teacher, which I've done before, or sales. And over time, anything you do more and more, you get better at. And you start to feel like you're almost in a groove. And I'm at that place with live coaching now. Always had the ability, always had good sessions, but it's gotten extremely extremely better. Thanks, T Mac. I appreciate your feedback, and coming from someone like yourself that's had other people that you talk to, um, your review holds weight. Feel much better. Weird when you think you're mostly over it and it's been months, and then you have a big setback. Well, you did the right thing, T Mac. Instead of being a victim and curling up like a ball or doing vengeance and revenge, you said, "Well, let me try out this coach on YouTube that I like his live streams and some of his videos." And so, it takes someone actually saying, "I need some help or want some help, and maybe my perspective might help." And that's why I always tell people, if it's not helpful and useful, and I always ask people that, then I'll give you your money back. I don't want to have a situation where someone was like, "That wasn't what I was looking for," and they're paying $125 for an hour. The reason you pay that much is for you to realize that you're serious about getting this information and you're dialed in also. And so we can sit down and actually have a deep conversation on what's going on, where I'm not checking my phone every 5 minutes, or I'm not going to listen to your problems and ask some good questions. And it's hard to do these days. It's hard to get someone that'll sit with you for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and go through all your stuff and not be on a clock. I think there's also a lot of value. It's underrated. I don't, T-Mac knows this from his situation. Sometimes, depending on the person, we'll go in some different directions. And I think that's therapeutic, that I don't restrict an individual from going in different directions of where the breakup story takes them. But actually, I don't also stop you at an hour or 45 minutes. I think it's really nice if you can go a full 2 hours, 3 hours, and just get it all out. Revenge is actually a weak move. Long-term, yes, Azam. He's actually right. Replacing them is the best revenge. Yep. I would say that's a place where you win as an individual, and being genuinely happy and I would add, being genuinely happy. You have to understand, you'll never be genuinely happy 100% of your life. Someone's gonna, hit your car door, or someone's gonna, spit on the sidewalk in front of you. You're never gonna be genuinely 100% happy all the time. But for you to understand what makes you happy, and to get to a point where you're not dominated by a breakup or a relationship, because your love life is just a part of who you are. It's not defining you. That's a really good feeling. Do you ever have people who get frustrated with you because you are not telling them what they want to hear, Coach? I only had, in almost 3 years, that's a good question. I've only had one or two. I'd say two. One lady was a little bit older, and she was actually, I've talked about this before, she was actually pursuing a married man. They were in text and whatnot, and the man backed out at the last minute, and she was really pissed off. She called him a narcissist, this, that, and the other. They had set up a hotel meeting and this, that, and the other. And we had multiple coaching sessions, not just about the guy, but some other things in her life. And I got to a point and I said, "Look, I don't know the specific language I used, but I said, you're starting to complain a lot and you're being a victim. And, these other things in your life you can be better at, and you can do better." And she got really upset, and she sent me an email, and she said, "I can't believe you said those things to me. It really hurt. Da, 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 da. You're supposed to be here to help me." And the reason I said those things, it wasn't our first call. This had been something that she wasn't making a lot of progress, and she was doing a lot of blaming and finger pointing. And the interesting thing is, I told this before, 4 weeks later, she emailed me back and said, "Look, I've realized that you're just trying to help me. And after that call, and after being upset, I realized that if someone like you told me these things, I should look at them, because I do think you care." And she weeded off these, "I'm going to the gym right now. I'm volunteering at an older people's home. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing that." And I was like, wow, it made me feel really good, because that was my point. That was a moment of tough love and honesty. And if you can't get it from your coach, who are you going to get it from? And then there was only one other situation where, out of the Not sure if I'm in the thousands yet out of the hundreds of sessions, live coaching sessions I've done. I'm definitely almost in the thousands of stories that I've read. Um, this other guy, I just remember him, and specifically, he was in his mid to late 20s. He had been dating a woman that was 2021 that he worked with. He actually had a job at at a convalescent home, which he didn't like. He didn't like his apartment, and he was like a manager at this convalescent home. I'm like, oh, that's cool. You're around old people and stuff like that. And he's like, no, I hate the job. I hate being around these people. And there was no, there was no substance to who he was or what he wanted to do, and he just wanted this X back so they could play video games and get intimate again. And I was like, look, she left you probably because of the fact that like you're a little bit boring, and you just like you're 27 years old, and you're not being happy with your job is such an overlooked thing because you spend so much time on it, and it's part of your identity, and it's how you feel about yourself. And so this individual, he's like, you've helped me out a lot. We went through a lot of things, but just tell me how to get her back. And I was like, I did. It's called working on yourself, because he wasn't an attractive person, not physically, because I wasn't judging him in that way, but as a person. And it didn't really resonate with him. He just wanted me to give him some playbook and just get her back. And so I said, you can do this. You can put a picture of you on Facebook with some other woman and get her, attention, because she seemed like she was a bit shallow and she was a bit naive. I go, but that probably won't get rid of the fact that you don't like your job, you don't like your apartment, you play video games most of the time, and you're in your late 20s. Like, these are things that you got to take a look at yourself as an individual. And he didn't like hearing that, and he didn't think that that's what he came to me for. So he didn't ask for his money back. He actually appreciated the session and whatnot. But that was one of those few people that kind of was like, I just want to know how to get her back. And it's like if someone comes to me and tells me, I want to become a really great basketball player, just tell me how to do it. I just did tell you how to do it, but you're looking for some shortcut. That's what separates the strong from the weak. Nothing wrong with having these feelings if you don't act on them. Oh, have feelings all you want, just don't act. Women hate being rejected. So do men. Breakup definitely taught me the lesson. I had lashed out on my ex with some anger. I do a better job tamping that down. Good for you. I will. I'll be in touch very soon. Just still picking up pieces. I'm okay. Just ready to get back to life. Life moves on, Mac. Thanks, Mac. It does, Todd. It's funny. It's funny you said that statement. One of my favorite Bob Marley songs is "Keep on Moving." And something came up about my sister that passed away a couple of years ago, in an email with a former client, and they go, "I'm really sorry to hear that." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, you know what? Life goes on, and we got to keep on moving. Exactly what you said. Because Mac, because it's a very really low bar when your junk food is very basic. Some higher end types will blow huge cash on high end junk food like a drug. Yeah, the amount of people with the information out there that eat extremely unhealthy is puzzling, isn't it? Don't talk ill about your ex. It reflects bad on you. I agree. If you oh, Johnny, I'm sorry to hear that, bud. Shit, man. I'm one of those people who gains weight easy, so it forces me to work out tons and eat really clean. In a way, I'm thankful it's healthier. It's a choice, right? A lot of people be like, oh, I just gain weight easy. No, you can combat that, and you are, T-Mac. Really common in dollar stores to observe the dollar stores. Ugh. Caitlin, yeah, you definitely have to love yourself before you can love someone else. And sometimes when you love someone else, you realize they don't love themselves, and that's why they don't treat you right. Yeah, that could be. And you gotta dissect the statement of how do you love yourself more. And one of the things that's overlooked is do significant work, whether that's a job or a career or volunteer work. Be a good mother in your case is one of them. Do things that contribute to society and other people, help other people out, and do significantly good work in whatever you choose to do. And that's a way to appreciate yourself better. Does that make sense? A lot of times people, just love yourself. And people don't know, how do I do that? The obesity epidemic is just an outward expression of people medicating with food. Just never had such calorie dense food available ever in history. It's kind of gross, right? Because to be obese is different than to be overweight. People know it's bad for them and don't want to do it, but food can be very addictive. Dwelling on the past of a relationship, regardless of who it is at fault, can be the death of you. There's always a choice in interpretation. There's a high caffeine chocolate brand called Awake. Turkish Delight and the Chronicles of Narnia. All right, folks, I'm getting a bit parched at this point. Any closing questions? And I didn't eat breakfast this morning. Oh, Johnny, I just want to tell you, bud, it's tough right now. 2 a.m. here in Jersey. Got to be up at 6 and go to sleep with this, but I will get through it. I told her, you will get through it, bud. I told her we can sleep next to each other, but my decision still stands and self-reflection is needed. I think that's reasonable. I think you're being reasonable after talking to you for over 2 hours. You're not doing this to hurt her. You're not doing this with bad intentions. You're actually doing it with good intentions for both of you, and stick to that. You want to talk basketball? I'll fucking talk serious basketball with you, bud. Absolutely, Rob. Actually, I just had a friend. Oh, Johnny, not to get off that, man. You got good intentions. You're a good person. I think you're doing the right thing, not just for you, but for her also. I'm serious, bud. Okay? So sleep well on that. And if you're a spiritual person, pray for her and pray for you. You guys are going to get through this, bud. Can we book a set? Yeah. To talk about basketball. Absolutely. I am extremely knowledgeable in basketball. I actually just had a friend over, and he was dropping early 90s, late 90s players, and I can name pretty much 80 to 90% of them where they went to college. It's kind of surprising me myself. He was like Chauncey Billups from like Colorado. He's like Robert Horry. I'm like Alabama, like where they went to college. I got knowledge on basketball if you ever want to talk about it. Stay strong, Johnny. We just unpacked that with a lot of time. And like I said, I don't think you're doing it with the intention of hurting her. I think you're doing it with the intention on both of you growing from this and getting better. Is anyone else in complete quarantine, or is Georgia the only state that's opened up completely at this point? I'm not sure. I'm not in complete quarantine at all. We have freedom to go out. We have curfew at 11 p.m. to like 4 a.m. Otherwise, we can eat at restaurants. We can go out freely. You do have to wear a mask. Oh, that book made me wonder about the Turkish Delight tasted like. Is that a Canadian thing? I think he meant to write basketball by accident. He wrote that. I could be wrong. Yes, basketball is very popular in Canada. I think she said you just wrote it wrong. Baseball. First books I ever read at age 7. Yes, basketball is very popular in Canada. Yes, I don't want to fold and fall in her game. Then don't. We invented basketball, allegedly. Yeah, it's was a Peach Basket in Indiana by James. See, now I jinxed myself with my basketball knowledge. Steve Nash went to Santa Clara. Charles Barkley, Auburn. Vancouver made a huge mistake not drafting Nash. A lot of people made a huge mistake not drafting Nash, but Nash was actually not that good early on in his career. He's one of those players that got consistently better. Stephon Curry was the same way. 24-hour curfew. That's tough, Azam. Yes, I thank you so much for this. Things are clear for me. I thank you, Johnny. It was a good connection with you. I'm glad you reached out, bud. You're good people. Brooklyn Nets fan. Doug Christie. Ooh. Played for the Kings and the Lakers. He's actually a Kings announcer now. For some reason, I want to say Doug Christie went to UCLA, but I could be wrong. That one I'm not sure of. He actually got in a fight with Kobe, I think I remember. But yeah, he played for the Kings and he was drafted by the Lakers. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. Brooklyn's got a good team. I'm a huge Warriors fan. I wasn't bitter when Durant left there, but Nash was from Victoria and wanted to play here. Yeah, Victoria is my favorite place in Canada. All the guys were drafted just grumbled about playing in Canada. Did you actually know that Steve Nash, I believe, is actually his family's from South Africa? If I'm correct. Pepperdine. Good knowledge, dude. That's a small school. That's a private school. It's supposed to be beautiful. Southern California. I think they have a really good baseball program. Jason Kidd back-to-back finals, lost both times. Jason Kidd went to Cal. We can't come out after 10 p.m. You have to prof off where you're going and where you've been. It's a $250 fine. If not, it's BS. From South Africa, right? Like, I don't know where I used to collect. I used to read the sports page pretty much every day, like San Francisco Chronicle, and Duke University always has a good team, but now with college, you only keep a player for 1 year, 2 years, so you don't really get to see them throughout. But they're always going to be a powerhouse team, Caitlin. I hate that a girlfriend can tell her boyfriend she loves him, but cheats on him. Well, everyone has their own definition of love. Wow, Steve Nash, that's interesting knowledge. Steve Nash is R.J. Barrett's godfather. Wow, that's crazy, dude. R.J. Barrett went to Duke, right? Is that correct? Yeah. Here's the thing about that comment, Damian Castillo. Not all girlfriends do that. That was an individual case of someone doing that. So sometimes we generalize. You don't want to generalize because there are women out there that would not do that. There are men out there that would not do that. Zion went to Duke. Yeah. That was incredible when he blew out his shoe. I mean, that's just amazing how much force someone would blow out their shoe. I didn't think Zion was going to be this good in the pros this quick. Bill Wennington is also Canadian. I don't know where Bill Wennington went to school. That one. You know, one of the questions my buddy asked me was, what about Pete Chilcutt, which I remembered from the Rockets. He played power forward on the Rockets, was a bench player. And I looked it up, and he went to North Carolina. So I don't know everyone's college, but I know a lot. Sim Bueller, who played for the Kings, is also Canadian. Oh, you got a bunch of Canadians, bro. You got Andrew Wiggins. You got Jamal Murray, Anthony Bennett. A lot of those guys were top picks. They're really good players. Jamal Murray's really good. Yeah, you ever want to talk basketball, you'll get your money's worth in a coaching session about that, or just a session to talk about it. I can talk some hoops, dude. Kelly Olynyk went to Gonzaga. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Drafted by Boston. Jamal Murray has turned out to be a solid player. I believe Jamal Murray went to Kentucky. Could be wrong. He's more than solid, dude. He's going to be like a top 20 player. Baseball, I watched in the 80s and early 90s, and I followed the playoffs when I moved, but I don't I don't know baseball the way I know basketball. I did when I was younger though. So 80s and early 90s baseball, I have a lot of knowledge, but I meant to ask you on your call. Did you watch The Last Dance documentary? I haven't seen it, but I had a hunch you watched it. Fucking outstanding, dude. And I'm not speaking from someone that like jocks Michael Jordan. I got respect for Michael Jordan. He's the greatest, what have you. I'm not someone like gets the new Jordans every time they come out or anything like that. But the way the documentary was done, how candid and honest I felt like Jordan was being, and just getting a taste of like how this dude had to deal with the media. But they also, gave some ideas of who Scott. It wasn't just about Jordan. It was about the team, like Rodman, Kerr, Scottie Pippen. I mean, it was really, really well done. I was a huge Bonds fan. Yeah. I actually, the year that Barry Bonds hit 72 home runs or 74, was a year that I was getting a lot of free tickets. And it was a privilege to watch. It would be the third inning and there'd be no one on base and everyone would be standing. And he was just incredible. If he was doing roids or whatever he was doing, the rest of the league was doing it at the same time. And it was fucking exciting to watch. So maybe he was turning around on like 95-mile-an-hour fastballs and hitting it. The crazy thing is, if you could watch the games in San Francisco at the Bay, it's hard to hit the ball in the Bay. And he was doing it regularly. Dylan Brooks from the Grizzlies for the second-round pick has also turned out to be a good Canadian player. I didn't know he was Canadian. Good knowledge, dude. Shaken, not stirred. Who's a big James Bond fan is, I believe, Corey Wayne. Carter Effect is an excellent documentary. Shows how Carter single-handedly created a grassroots basketball following in Toronto and how they started producing high draft picks 15 years later. Okay, I haven't heard of that, but I know that Darryl Strawberry, fuck yeah, I remember Darryl Strawberry. Played for the Mets, Dodgers, and the Giants. I actually saw him in person in the mall a couple times. He's a big dude. Jeff Kent, former Jade, played well for the Giants as well. He also played for the Giants and the Indians, and he went to Cal. I remember they traded him for Matt Williams, and I was shocked because I was like, dude, who the hell is Jeff Kent? His numbers weren't that good. He took off after he hit behind Bonds. Darryl Strawberry. Yeah, I like Darryl Strawberry. It was funny. I was talking to Joseph Rodriguez, who has a pretty cool YouTube channel on book reviews. I'll just plug him. He doesn't need it because his channel is very popular. But he does book reviews. And we were in a live chat. And he lives in Toronto. And he had a LA Dodgers hat on. And I was like, oh, shit, he goes, I'm not even a baseball fan. I just lived in LA for a little while or something like that. And then I was like, oh, it was during I believe it was during the finals with the Warriors. And he's like, the Raptors are in the finals. And I was like, you live in Toronto and you live downtown? He goes, yeah, I don't even follow it. I don't really follow basketball. I was like, oh man, I thought everyone was following it. So, you just assume when you're a sports fan or you have a high interest in something like a movie or a TV show that everyone else knows about it. Strawberry had a cocaine problem, him and Doc Gooden, who was his cousin, I believe. Strawberry reminded me of the Simpsons episode when Mr. Burns assembled a team of pro MLB ringers. Classic. Oh, really? Strawberry was in it? He had a great name, though. My favorites were the Ripken father and son. There was also Billy Ripken. That was a Strawberry got caught smoking coke before a case. He was a big dude, man. Like I said, I saw him in person in the mall. He was one of those guys, you see him, he's an athlete. TO, 2 MLB titles, and now basketball. Maple Leafs still stuck, though. This is how it usually ends up in the end of the live stream. Just mishmash of everything is on. I was like, what are we talking about? You know what? The Raptors, I give them credit. Like they went. Yeah, it gets off topic. You're still hanging though, huh? Nothing like a little pick me up before the game. Yeah, it's strawberry smoke. Isn't that amazing that a professional athlete making millions would actually do that? It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny, actually, Todd. It's a sick sense of humor kind of thing where we think, oh, you'd love to be an athlete. And you're like, this guy's smoking dope before a game. I appreciate you, Zom. I mean, I'm sure other people think at the end of these, I should just do a separate thing on basketball, but it's hard to have two different channels and start something new. And you don't like Jordan Peterson, huh? Oh, Johnny, don't feel bad. I've had that happen before where I've been with a woman that's crying and I'm like, fuck. Like it's not that you're happy that they're crying. It's like that you're what you said, like a nervous response, but also like, I can't believe you're this upset. What's so funny, Todd? Why are you in tears about Strawberry having a having a little toke of Coke before the game, making millions? Oh shit! When we do a live coaching when we talk, Todd. Well, that's pretty funny. Part of it, oh Johnny, is that you don't identify with crying that hard, so it's hard for you to relate to. Probably he has good stuff, but his understanding of sexual dynamics is not ideal. Well, you take and leave what you want from every individual. After she dragged him along for a while, he was her backup option. He has good material, but when it comes to relationships and sexuality, he is off. I've been on a few Peterson lectures. They're quite good. Well, he's an excellent public speaker. What I would say to his is whenever I recommend books or different people or even myself, to disagree is fine. You never want to take everyone's word for everything. You take bits and pieces of what you like from someone's suggestions or philosophy in Jordan Peterson's case. I don't know. It's weird. Like trying to car. I just look at her while she spills her guts. Even I think Steven has some interesting stuff. His podcasts are just too long. I don't know who that is. Smart guys, but sometimes I get tired of listening to blowhards. I don't know what a blowhard is. Stephen the Bold couldn't digest him. Gives a creepy vibe. I don't know who Stephen Molyneux is. I'm not sure. All right. Oh, Johnny, hang in there, bud. And realize that you are, I believe, doing the right thing. And stay strong in this situation. And you're not, and some of what she's going through is not just because of you, it's where she's at as an individual. And that's what we talked about. Everyone else out there, Rob, Azam, T-Mac, Todd. I lost everyone else for the moment. Oh, Johnny, I've already mentioned. Caitlin, wish you all well. It's been a good live stream. I thought it would be too late, too. So I appreciate you all. It's curtains.